So our sensory-based strategies for over-responsivity is try to maintain control over that stimuli as much as you can. Try to make it as less likely to be unpredictable as possible. Advocate for yourself to say, this particular thing I don't like, right? So if you don't, if you are over-responsive to sound and somebody wants to play with a noisy toy, just pointing out that that toy makes me feel uncomfortable and not using it in that play experience, right? So that it's taken out of the relational equation for a nice back and forth flow. You can get as much information about it. So if you know that you're going to play later, you have this nice opportunity to play, and you might want to wonder early on with your child what you think you might do during that time, so that in the day leading up to that, you can prep yourself, right? You may be able to earlier in the day, before you get to your interaction playtime with your child, do some things that are more organizing for yourself, so that if you know that something's you're going to be over responsive for you in that time, you're better equipped to deal with it. So this could be something like heavy work, deep pressure based activities to kind of calm all of your sensory systems. Now, if you're under responsive, it's the opposite, right? You actually need to get yourself alert, and you need to get yourself on board. So you need to use that alerting, fast, intense sensory input before you go into these interactions, so that you are up and out. I like to talk about being up and out. Like, I'm available, I'm here, I know where my body's in space, I feel grounded, and I'm ready to go. And you might think about what can keep your interest, right? So if you're under responsive and you're going into a play interaction with your child and you're going to be bored, that's not going to be beneficial for anybody, right? So if there's a play theme that you can really enjoy, let's build that into that time with your child. Let's make it as multisensory as possible. Let's try to play in a way that activates your systems and provides input to the systems that you need input to. And if you're craving, the very first one I would say is find out what it is, right? If it is truly that you're a sensory craver, then we can use these STAR principles of having experiences that are goal-directed and purposeful, using heavy work in smaller spaces when you're playing with your child and interacting with your child, so that you're not tempted to go do all of the craving that your body wants to do. But I think really to truly investigate the why can't you be there in present for your child in that moment? Why do you feel like you need to move and touch and talk and make sounds? So if you find that you're in a mismatch pattern, right, and that sensory discrimination is impacting your relationship with your child, there's ways to work on it, right? To work on your discrimination capacities, which is basically to do sensory motor play, right? To do more that requires pacing and timing and grading and coordinating the timing and the match of things. So as an adult, we can do things that require us to sustain different balance for our vestibular system, like yoga or Pilates. We can do activities that require us to figure out what kind of force we need to use, hiking, basketball, those kinds of sports. So you want to think about what systems you feel like you have a mismatch in, and then add more variety of experiences with that system that will help support this. When we've got posture in our mind as ourselves as parents, or for maybe caregivers that you're working with, there are ways to work on it, right? By strengthening the core muscles, pushing, pulling, carrying, weight bearing, weightlifting activities. But in the moment, what we want to think about is how do we accommodate for it, right? How do we position the parent's body to be in a place that's going to bring the most shared attention as possible? And that so that parent doesn't have to think about that posture piece at all in the interaction. We also can plan for the inevitable tiredness. So this special time between caregiver and child shouldn't probably be at the end of the day when the tiredness and the fatigue is set in. It shouldn't be for a really long period of time. It should be short little times throughout the day. So it's for practice. We want to help them to do things like developing multiple step plans, right? And to try new things, to challenge being able to come up with ideas and plans and organize actions. We want to do things like play catch and throw games and things like that that will help with this coordination and pacing and timing of things as well. Um, in the meantime, as they're working on their own motor planning difficulties, we want them to be able to know beforehand what's the plan, right? So that in the moment, they don't have the need to adapt and think about the plan. They can break things down for themselves into smaller chunks. They can look for clues. And I very often tell our families with motor planning and the caregiver side is don't try to have a plan, right? Follow your child's lead. Let them guide you through the plan.